everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Matthews. Today, just going to have a chat. It's just me and you, or listen, I guess, if you're listening, if you're watching, hey, all the things. Um, but I wanted to just kind of jump on here and talk a little bit about kind of the state that we're in. I mean, first of all, I have a cold, so I haven't been recording as much. But I just thought, "Hey, let me take this time, connect with you, talk to you, just about the uncertainty that's in the world, right? There's so much going on, and just what can we do to stay focused and stay committed? I was thinking about my son. He came over for lunch. He pops in and has lunch with me a couple of times a week. During his lunch break at work. And he's also a college student. And so he was kind of telling me about his schedule, and he has it planned out all the way through the end of graduate school, I think. And he has all these courses. And he just realized that there was a prerequisite that he didn't have for something that he wanted to pursue in grad school. So he was like, how am I going to fit this in? And he kind of course, like you get a little bit like overwhelmed. It calls you pause. You're kind of like, okay, let me look at the schedule. What can I do? Where can this go? And it was really kind of made me think about in this uncertainty when things just kind of come at you, right? Or, hey, maybe you are trying to get a response for somebody and there's just nothing. Like, what is it that we can do during these times? And so I like thinking of him as I'm going through this with y'all. And just what he did, right, was he looked at his existing plan, he adapted, made some adjustments, looked at it and say, okay, is this going to make it too difficult for people? Like, are we putting too much pressure on him and himself or on others, right? And what's important, right? If I load up in 1 month or one semester, then, what's that going to do? Am I going to completely lose all of my free time, my family time? And I think that that's something that we actually have to look at in business too. Another thing I was doing lately in our leadership course is just talking to somebody about like all the things that they have going at work. They seem to be, going well, but then they're taking on a bunch of emotional load personally, and how can you help yourself, be prepared for that? Like what's happening, what the challenges are, but how do you show up and have the energy to deal with them, right? So I find that story with Jackson and kind of just navigating that and adapting the schedule and really paying attention and taking time to look at it is one thing we need to do. The other thing that you did was like tell people about it, so there is a little venting stage of that, right? That there is. Um, we need some friends to vent to. We also need some friends to be our cheerleaders and be like, okay, you got this. You're super smart, knowledgeable. Where can we actually make this work? What was your plan for this empty spot? Or what was your plan to, get in front of that customer? And so when I think about kind of when we were faced with like adversity and this uncertain market like it is now, it does, of course, remind me of the pandemic and how, everybody was kind of scrambling to know what to do. And, you know, we took the approach of, hey, let's jump on a Zoom with everybody. Let's talk to our people. Let's, share ideas. So, one of the things on a sales, I think about all the salespeople out there and how difficult when the economy is like this, we're still like sell more, get your relationships, make the calls, get meetings set up, get proposals set up. And at the same time, you have to do that with energy, right? Like there's no way that you can show up as a salesperson and try to present the best options when you don't feel good. I mean, I have that kind of knowledge of being sick and I don't feel good and want to show up. I definitely don't want to record when I'm sick, but you know, how do we knowing that we have all this pressure? First of all, how do we lead our teams without, overwhelming them? But then as the individual, knowing that we have this, how do we manage our own state? And so anytime that we're kind of down, sad, depressed, anything like that, just not having a day, there's some things that we can do. So we can definitely move. One of the things that, of course, I learned from heart surgery, you've got to take the first step, take a deep breath. Okay, let's all do that. But then like actually make a plan to move. So whether it's, just a quick little walk down the street, whether it's okay, you go and work out, you need to do it, is what energizes you. The other things, I love the dance it out, right? Like being able to play music, anything to kind of get that heart rate up when we are just in like not a good place, right? Um, Having a friend to, call that is going to be your cheerleader, that's going to say positive things, like make a point to call them. Don't wait on them to call you. Like just call them and let them speak life into you, right? And so all of this is to say like we have to manage our state. And then the other part of that is if we are just so amped up, so anxious, so nervous that you can feel it in your body that way, right? That just like over energy, over anxious, which I can kind of get that way too, of just like go, 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 until you just fall out, right? So let's not do that. Let's not run until we fall out. Let's actually pace ourselves, right? Let's one of the things I like to do is of course, take the deep breaths, but also like just listen to like calming music or meditation. I can't just sit there and not do anything, but I can listen to somebody kind of speaking away. And the tool is Insight that I use. That's from Susan with our Leadership Launchpad back in the day. I love it. It basically just says that this is a safe place to dwell. It's one of my favorite ones, and I think that it's important to do that, to take quiet time, whatever that looks like for you, whether you're a high performing leader, whether you ain't got time for that because you're driven and you're getting stuff done, you're executor, like just take 5 minutes to go and do something that gives you joy, whether it's call somebody, whether it's looking at a flower, whether it's, hitting some golf balls for a moment, not a whole day, but you know what I'm talking about, just for a moment to get a breathe, okay? And then get back to work, right? What are the things that you can do today um, in your schedule to set you up for success? Blocking off time first to think, to strategize, to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Block off time to focus in on a project. Maybe you need to go through your customer lists and say, okay, these are the top priority customers that we need to call on, that we need to talk to. And make sure that you block off time to call them, just even if you're just reminding yourself to call them. Um, and so you don't have the meeting set up yet, but block off the time because you're going to do that if it's on your calendar. At least that's how things are around here. It has to be on my calendar. Um, okay, so having said all that and being able to kind of look at what you can do to be successful each day, that's really where we have to start. It's the first step, the baby steps, the even going back to basics sometimes in these very uncertain times. It's like we don't know how to see, 10 years down the road, five, three, sometimes tomorrow, depending on what news station that you're listening to. You can feel like overwhelmed. And so I would just say, look at what the plan is. What did you set out to do? Do you need to make any adjustments to it? What is one thing that you can do today to accomplish or at least move you closer to your goal, right? Sometimes we do need to work internally and see like, okay, are our lists, our case studies, or our inventory, like what is it that we can actually work on today to get us prepared for when it's go time? Because sometimes, and again, just the state of where we're in and what we've dealt with in the past is just you don't have all the answers. You don't know. And so what we do know is what we can control. And we can control our processes, we can control our state, and we can control making like plans, adjusting plans based on the information that we do have. So I just encourage y'all all to kind of look, see what your plan is, what are things in the knowledge and the information that you do have, take steps to kind of grow, take personal time, making sure that you are paying attention to your body, to your team, how their state is, how they're showing up. If somebody is quiet and you haven't heard from them, reach out to them. Um, I think it's a good time to schedule a coffee and then keep the positivity. It's okay to vent. It's okay, to have friends to vent to, but then change that narrative into solutions. It's always, I find better to, come to the table with a solution. So, um, vent, even see, be a critic, but then also add into that solution. Okay. Hopefully this is helpful. I just had it on my heart to be able to share with y'all and just, kind of these are the ways that as through so much adversity, so much just change. And I guess that's the state of an entrepreneur too. It's just, we're always changing, adapting. We have a growth mindset. We are just constantly looking for that pivot or way to kind of improve our business. And it does start with having time to think and strategize. So I just encourage you to do that, to set some time on your calendar for thinking, for strategy, for making a plan, looking at a plan that you had, maybe adjusting the plan, and then coming up with, what is one thing that I can do today that's going to move me closer to my goal. Okay. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Until next time, be empowering. Bye.